What's up, family? It's another one from the Central, man. We good?
For sure.
Get the viewers, provide the viewers. What's up, guys? It's your boy Corn. I'm back with another Fuel by Paved Podcast. Today I got my boy Fingerroll in here. I'll let him introduce himself, and then we'll get into the mix of talking about life, music, and the beauty of it all, bringing it to the actual pavement, man.
Yo, I'm the one and only Fingerroll, man. Pioneer, music mentor, you know what I mean? Business entrepreneur, super producer, engineer. Hey, there you have it.
Jack of all trades, truly a jack of all trades, man. Not even just the music. I saw on your page that you had another side to the business, man. Let's talk about that, the food side.
Okay.
People don't have, they say black men, we really don't have the venture to go out and do multiple things, or
Right.
So let's talk about that. What does that look like for you, man?
Right. Well, the food business is kind of crazy. Like, I always like to, cook. Especially, being in the entertainment business, you got people around you all the time. So a lot of times people love to eat. And then, and the food business came along because just being creative, you know what I mean? I wanted to do something that just kind of creative. And then I seen that, hey, this wasn't out there. You know what I mean? No, I started a pasta business. You know what I mean? I was like, pasta's kind of sexy. Yeah. Ladies love it. It's kind of upscale. You know what I mean? So I'm like, hey, and you can't get it at a certain time. You know what I mean? Because you used to go to restaurants to get that type of stuff. You know what I mean? So it wasn't on like, hey, you couldn't go to like McDonald's and get no pasta.
Yeah.
So what I did was I created it where you can get pasta like at all times of night. You know what I mean? And being in the industry, like the music industry, it kind of helped me because it's like marketing, And so I figured, I said, hey, I know how to market an artist or produce a product, so let me try it with food. Let me kind of use the same kind of elements that I do in the music industry and put it towards food, and, kind of market it the same way, make it catchy, but then make it sexy and make everybody kind of want to eat it. So that's kind of how I did it. It was like I didn't move here to Atlanta for that, to do like food, but it was like, when you're like an entrepreneur, you're like, hey, let me try this. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people say, hey, stay away from the restaurant business. It causes you a headache and blah, which and it does. You know what I mean? With it's certain elements, and we'll talk about that later. But I said, let me try it because I always try to push myself. You know what I mean? So I said, hey, let me try a food business. Let me see if it worked. And people loved it. You know what I mean? I did a lot of things with it. I fed Georgia Tech basketball team.
Yeah, I recently saw it.
Had inquiries from the Atlanta Hawks to cater them. So, I said, hey, the city love it,
Hey.
And then, the ladies love it. They love pasta.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it, man.
Right, exactly. So that was just, that was just a little, down the road. I said, let me take a little curve, see what I can do. I always try to push myself, And then once I kind of see, okay, dang, that worked. That's cool, and then I might be on something next, you know what I mean?
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's real life.
Yes,
man.
there you go.
So my next question is, you talked about coming to Atlanta. So where did it start?
Okay, well, it started in Gary, Indiana. I'm from Gary, Indiana now.
Okay.
Yeah, the trenches.
That's real.
Yes. And when I started off music, it was just like that. Gary kind of changed now. It's not the same how it was. But back then, when I was getting into it, hey, we was the murder capital of the world.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So it was, a lot of stuff that happened there, and seen and got to witness. It changed, definitely changed me, you know what I mean? But as far as starting off in Gary, it's not the city for like music. There's no really market there. So we there, just telling our stories, but we still not, we capped on where it goes, you know what I mean? So we had to do a lot of things to just get the, crowd behind us, the city behind us, and then go other places to kind of make it. So it kind of gave, me more of a hustling type, we got to get it, we got to grind it. So our grind was way different than, being where the music is in the market.
You say what did the group consist of?
Okay, so the group, when I started off, and I could start from the beginning.
Yeah.
All right, so the beginning, Fingerroll was a DJ. I started off as a DJ. I watched this movie, it was called Juice. And it had
with the blue cover?
With the blue cover.
Okay, I know about
Tupac was in the damn movie.
I know about Tupac.
So look, I seen the niggas in there scratching, cue, whatever, and I was like, this shit kind of dope. Maybe I could do that. I like the way he controlling the crowd. So I went and bought like DJ equipment the next day. I'm like, shit, this is what I want to do. So when I got the DJ equipment, I'm like, I mastered that. I start DJing parties, but then I had these records. This is back then with records. And I got instrumentals on the records. So I'm playing these instrumentals, niggas want to rap to them, you know what I mean? So I give them the mic. I got a mic, I got the equipment. So that steered me into like producing. You know what I mean? And that's how I got the name Fingerroll, because I was scratching on the turntable.
Really?
But that took me into the level. I said, hey, all right, let me get into the producing. So once I got into producing, like, this is fun. You know, this is fun. I'm young. You know what I mean? I'm like 16, you know what I mean? Fresh, you know, getting out of high school, going into this whole music world. So once I did that, I went to a studio. And I tried to go there to record a song because I started rapping. You know,
you was a rapper too?
Yeah, I was a rapper. I go to levels. Like, so the DJ, then I went to producing, and then I was like, shit, let me try this rapping shit. I got the stuff. So, you know, I like to keep going. I keep graduating. So I went to this studio, bought a session, trying to record a song. The engineer had left, like walked out on the guy.
Oh, okay.
And the guy was down there trying to record me, and I was like, this nigga don't know what he's doing. Like, the sound was coming out. And he told me, he's like, look, my engineer just left. You know, I was trying to record you, but look. And I told him, so I you know, my mind, I'm young, you know. So I said, look, how about this? Let's make a deal. How about I come here every morning whenever your place on, because he had a record shop at the top, the studio's at the bottom. I said, how about if I come here every morning around, whenever you open up 9, I'm gonna be here 9. And I'll learn this equipment down here. And once I get good at it, you can start charging, opening your studio back up. So he was like, hey, that's a bet. Might as well. You know, my engineer just walked out on me. So I went there every morning. And this is when I'm fresh out of high school. Went there every morning. And I started learning that equipment. And he had good shit. He had the money. Yeah. He was the man in my city. So he had the money, so he had the top-notch equipment. Good equipment, didn't have no engineer. So I looked at it like, hey, let me come down and learn. I learned it, and then I started recording every artist in my city. You know what I mean? And I had that sound because I'm new. You know, I'm young, so I'm fresh. Yeah. It's different. So everybody started flocking to that studio and said, hey, I need to mess with Fingerroll, go to Fingerroll. And how I did it was, you know, a small city, how I tell, and this is something I tell any artist, and this is a message, you know what I mean? This is a gem, so you may want to read that. What you want to do is you want to keep your name popular as hell. You know what I mean? So what I did back then, you know, we had CDs. So the back of the cover, if I work with you, I say, hey, make sure my name is on that back of the cover, produced by Fingerroll, blase, blase. Even if you recorded with me, my name got to be on that. So every time people get flyers or something, they see my name on there, oh, this Fingerroll. Now, I wasn't known, but they didn't know my face, but they saw the name. So when they run into me, oh, that's Fingerroll, I heard about that dude. I don't know nothing about him, but that name just keep ringing. So that's, you know, you gotta spread your name out there. If you don't got if your music ain't bumping or whatever, put your name out there. You can promote who you is. And you can sell yourself that way. Like, hey, produce, super producer, Fingerroll. So that's what I sold. So that everywhere you pop up, people were seeing like, oh, super producer Fingerroll. I need to get with this cat because this is the super producer.
It's the man now.
Yo, so it's a mind thing. Once you put that out there, you know what I mean? And then it'll come. It'll come. And so that's how it came. And then everybody was flocking to me. So I ended up starting my own studio. I had artists. We had a group called Outside. I rapped with a female, Seesaw, which was the dopest female. And then she from Gary. Yeah, she from Gary. So
shout out to her, man. Shout out to her.
Yeah, you could just Google Seesaw Outside early days and you'll see it.
Most definitely.
But what I did was so I had the studio and then I started bringing in other artists that I wanted to work with. Because I'm at that stage like, hey, I want to work with this artist. I want to work this artist. So I had Reese, Vicious. I had Seesaw, whole Notainment. That was the movement Notainment. And then this one artist came to me and he was dope. He had a different sound. And I was like, damn, this artist kind of dope, different sound than what we doing. We rapping about pain and domestic stuff, violence and murder and all that type of shit, because that's all we see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's our environment.
Yeah, it's our environment. Actually, to tell you, to touch back on the story, the guy that put me on, you know, and started with me, he had a record shop. And upstairs, person came in, robbed him, killed him right there. While I was in the basement of the studio. Wow. So I kind of seen all that. So, you know what I mean? Being from Gary, we see a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? I seen him take his last breath. You know what I mean? But so fast forward, I got my own studio. An artist walked in. I said, hey, this is a different sound. I'm fucking with this sound. This is some new shit. And at the time, this is when the internet started coming about. You know what I mean? It was like the internet just kind of came. So blog sites started popping up. So I started putting that music on that internet shit. I started putting it on there. And I started like putting the music on this artist that I was working with. We bumping like mixtapes, putting out mixtapes. And then so I started getting some calls, like some labels start calling and blase, start moving up. We got, you know, interest in this artist. Yeah. And And this is the artist that I was grinding with, and because I love the sound. And to this day, this artist is Freddie Gibbs. You know what I mean? So that's the artist that I kind of launched, mentored, and took off. You know what I mean? So, but this, where we at in Gary, it was like a struggle because we didn't have no network. You know what I mean? So that's why I came out to Atlanta, because Atlanta was hot then. When I started, Atlanta was hot. I was like, shit.
It was hot back then?
Yeah, not back then when we were doing it, but Atlanta came apart, ever since Andre went on stage and said, hey, the South got something to say. That's when Atlanta changed.
When was
what
that?
I mean? I forgot what year. That was around the Source Awards, so that's when the Source magazine was popping. But once he did that, once Andre said that, that's when Atlanta took off. You know what I mean? That's when Little John and all them, Ludacris and all, everybody started grabbing to Atlanta. Atlanta was hot then, you know what I mean? It was just hit after hit after hit. And that's kind of when I dove and moved in here. I moved to Atlanta, So I said, hey, let me come to Atlanta. I had a guy that was my homie from Indiana, from Gary, that he came to Atlanta and was making major hits for a lot of artists. Like he was working with Jazzy Faye, he produced Jagged Edge, Lloyd.
Oh, we talking now.
Lloyd, Bobby Valentino. The illness. You know what I mean? He got platinum and gold records. So I came up under him and he said, hey, Fingerroll, hey, because I just hear, I'm like, man, what I'm gonna do? I'm the man in Indiana, I done worked with all type of artists in Indiana, the Chicago and everything, but in Atlanta, nobody know me. So what I'm gonna do? And his best advice, man, do what you do. You gonna start over, but you did something there, so you got the skills. So that's what it was.
It's in you. It's not on you. It can't fall off.
Yeah. So you gotta remember, it's never like, when you go move somewhere else, or you're stuck somewhere, like just do what you do. You know what I mean? It's gonna sell itself. You know what I mean? Don't think about, oh man, I don't know. I gotta compete with this person, this artist. How am I gonna compete with all this? Yeah. Just do you, because at the end of the day, you got something that somebody is looking for and somebody's gonna patronize. You know what I mean? So that you just gotta work hard to it. Definitely. And that's what I did. And I just came about, and the next thing you know, I'm working there. I recorded Lloyd, I recorded Bobby, I recorded Lil Scrappy. I was working with everybody, under his little circle and stuff.
Definitely.
So that was dope to me. And then I said, all right, I've been there before. I took the next step. Now, let me get on my own. Let me get my own studio in Atlanta. Let me work with some other artists. And then I started seeing all these other artists kind of gravitate to my studio. Like, I remember, being a producer, I remember like 808 Mafia coming here.
Wow.
And they're working in my studio.
That's crazy.
They're banging out my studio.
Please, most definitely, man. Shout out,
TM88, he started working in here, and then I remember doing a session, Southside pull up, and I'm like, dang, I got 808 in my studio, working out of my studio. This is crazy. You know what I mean? It just moves. And from there, I had a lot of producers that walked, that been through here. Like recently, had Zaytoven in here. I had Drummer Boy. Drummer Boy been in here.
That's crazy.
I had C-Note been in here. These are Atlanta producers that have been, so it was a great feeling for me to just like, hey, these cats are in my studio.
Yeah.
And I ain't got nothing, I just moved, I came to Atlanta and this is what's happening. So it's like the grind, you got to get it. You know what I mean? So I tell everyone, just keep doing you. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
And
got to.
If you, and it will come. That's just how it is.
So, as I was doing my research, I see that you put family in front of a lot of things, man. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about family.
So far as family, family first, God first, always. You know what I mean? Because that's where the core is. And I recently put family first with my artist Flight Boy. That's my son. And the reason is because I worked with a lot of artists, and you go through a lot of artists that have different different personal things and stuff. Like I done invested with some artists and they just turned out, maybe got strung out on some drugs, and then it worked that way, you know what I mean? And so at the end of the day, and I got did a lot of stuff for artists, and then they went somewhere and then they like, hey, I don't need you no more. And,
Absolutely, yeah.
So I'm like, look, but that's how it is though. That's how it is. So this industry is, it has its ups and it has its downs. It has its crazy, it has its evil, it has its wild sides. You know what I mean? But if you know how to maneuver through it, you'll be fine. So, you know what I mean? Like life has its curves, you know what I mean? But as long as you know where you're going, hey, you're going to get them curves. But anyway, I had to focus, I said, look, I ain't about to put no more money in. I'm about to put some money on my son.
Yeah.
Focus on him, develop him, and
keep it in the house.
Yeah, keep it in the house, and he wants to do it. He gets a passing. So Flight Boy, that's who I start really.
Hey man, shout out.
And that's right now who I'm just developing right now, getting him to that point because he's young. He's 18. He's where I was at. You know what I mean? So so if he can have some, he got the greatest help behind him. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna work because I know where he wants to go because I've been there before, and and I had mentors. I had people that touched after me. Like when I tell you a quick story when I first started making beats, it was a drum machine. It was called a Roland 808. And I had it in the studio because the guy had it, and then I had another drum machine. It was called an MPC, a Rogerlin Akaya. And I'm up here making beats on this 808 Roland. And then this big producer, he produced stuff for it was like a lot of big artists back in the day. And he's like, why you ain't using that? And I'm like, shit, what do you mean? I'm messing with this. This shit sound dope. He's like, but this is what the industry using. So it taught me you got to gravitate. You got to go adapt. You got to adapt. And so that's what, helped me adapt. And just like now producing my son, he's on a different type of music than I was back in the day, so I'm having to adapt to it. You know what I mean? And I'm learning.
The sound.
But it gives me that boost and it gives me that energy because as a producer mind is always going because that's what we got to produce. So if you bring me something, you might bring me something that looks like a box, and I'm gonna turn it into a circle because a producer has to. It might sound silly, but
you gotta make it work.
We got to make something out of it. That's what a producer. So when he's bringing me songs and telling me about these songs, I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool. But I'm taking heed to it. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, this is the new generation. Yeah. This is what they're doing now. So I got to adapt and keep producing. Otherwise, you're going to be left out. And that's what happens to a lot of artists, happens to a lot of producers, whatever. They don't adapt to the way, and they're still stuck on old sound. So you gotta evolve. You know what I mean? If you're doing anything, you want to always level yourself up. Like, really level yourself up. I don't care what it takes to study it. If you got to learn it, just learn it and level yourself up. Don't stick to right there. Keep your same craft. Keep your originality because that's what's going to make you stand out. You got to be different, but just elevate every time. And there you have it.
Let's touch on adapting, man. Music has changed so much from, like you're saying, the 808 turntables and boomsticks and all that, man. So, in what way, both positively and negatively, have you seen music change throughout your years in this producing industry? Right.
Okay. As far as being a producer, how I've seen it dramatically change is as far as equipment. Technology changes every year. There's a new gear, new thing. I was making beats on drum machine. Then they came out with FL Studios. So I had to learn that. But I took initiative because that's what the producers was learning. Like when Mafia came here, they was working off FL. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm up there hitting this damn drum machine, trying to put low sounds, and they just clicking buttons on a damn computer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? On a laptop. They just laptopping it. I'm like, this making beats, no keyboard. Yeah. I'm like, what the fuck? Don't you gotta play this shit? No, they like tapping shit, hitting the up and down arrows. I'm like, what the hell? You know what I mean? So you gotta adapt. So in a way, that changed music, and music evolves. The bad side is about it if you don't adapt. If you're still stuck, like, I don't know how to work that, I ain't trying to learn it, I'm just gonna stick with this. That's the bad side of it.
Get cast out.
Yeah, but another thing that I learned too, still in what you like, the MPC and all that drum machine involved, that's to this day it's a thicker sound, which I say. When I was in here with Zaytoven, and he told me that's what he uses. He uses the MPC, and he said the sound is just, you can't beat that sound. Different. Yeah, and that's what make whoever that producer is, they kind of stick with their stuff. They're gonna advance it. Technology is gonna keep advancing the equipment, but those are the ups and downsides. Now you could make records like before. We didn't have acapellas or instrumentals. Now I could get on AI and strip a beat off and have the capella. So it's a good thing on that tip, but you got to evolve, And that was a question this other producer asked me. He's like, how are you adapting? Is it going to be good for producers? And I'll tell you right now, I don't know, because the main scene didn't hit, but if I get a person comes along and don't know nothing about beats, and he get on some AI stuff and make a beat and have a top chart,
easy, smooth
100 record, then hey, the game definitely changed.
Absolutely. I was watching this video. This guy made a song and he played it on a live chat, and it sounded amazing. And then they said, do it live. And he started, and he sounded horrible.
Yeah,
and it was like, well, don't ever do that again. He ain't got no choice but to go, like, but yeah.
That's what happens.
Like, yeah.
And that's just like, and I use example, if a singer could sing, and the singers that can't sing, and you see them in concert, you'll know right away. Hey, that singer can't sing. So that, then you know the ones that can sing. Like they can sing. Yeah, auto-tune and stuff. So it does work that way, because I recorded a lot of artists, and I, as an engineer, have to, bump up their voice, especially with singers. Their notes are flat, I gotta correct them. And by this time, when y'all hear it, it sounds great, but y'all didn't hear the first thing in the studio when it's like, that shit is horrible. Horrible, you know what I mean?
You hear me? Like, yeah.
And they'd be like, man, I'm like, I had to EQ this person, get this person where they at. They sound decent, but hey, if you hear them live, it's gonna be trash. You're not gonna want to go to their concert. But then again, they got equipment to help you. But that's just the difference. You know what I mean? So So going back to your question, far as adapting could be a good and could be bad. Depends on what you're trying to do. You know what I mean? It could be good if you're trying to do certain things, but it could be bad if, hey, this is what you're only counting on to make you sound good. Because once that is gone, hey, you're back to that person.
Most definitely.
Like Superman. Hey, he's Clark Kent, and he's Superman. He back to a regular person.
Easy, man. Smooth. Real fast.
Hell yeah.
So, Fingerroll, man, you seem like a person that's always good-hearted, light-natured, man.
Yeah.
It was, when we walked in, it was all love at the door.
Yeah.
How, speaking from a mental health side, man, has there ever been tough moments in this industry for you, tough moments in life, getting here, that path of coming to Atlanta? Can we talk about what do some of those tough times look like in this industry and life for you?
Yeah, I got you. This, the journey is always hard. The journey is going to be stressful. Me being I'm a positive person, I'm always trying to push it. I don't show a little of the stress side or the negative downfalls, but I do go through it just like we all human at the end of the day. We all deal with certain levels of pain and stress a different way. Some people may cry about it. Some people may hold it in and hurt in the inside. Some people go to bed crying. Some people wake up happy. So we all have those different sides. I went through it, because going through this journey, you're going to have your ups and downs. You're going to be like, dang, what is going on? You know what I mean? Am I hustling backwards or what? Yeah. You know what I mean? That's why we all go through. But at the end of the day, it's like you got to keep moving on, you know what I mean, and get through those. I had a lot of times where I had to humble myself. And that's why I'm so humble right now, because the industry, I learned, you be humble, you build better relationships with people. You know what I mean? If you're going into this game and you're just trying to do things and you're not real humble or build that relationship with a person, then you're going to be blocked a lot of times, in the industry, So I had to learn that. Be humble, network with people. I do a lot of networking, you know what I mean? I speak up, you know what I mean? Closed mouth don't get fed, you know what I mean? That's how it is. One time at 2 Chainz was in here, and he's like, it was at the end, and he was shooting a video, and at the end he was walking out, and I can't do it. 2 Chainz, let me holler at you, man, blase. He was like, man, why didn't you say that with the whole time I was here? Like, man, you got to speak up.
That's crazy.
So I take that in, you know what I mean? But I learned, like, a lot of times, hey, you do got to speak up at that point, you know what I mean? A lot of times I'm active and I speak up. A lot of times I didn't. I'm gonna tell you a story. I had a studio in this warehouse, and Gucci Man, he was shooting a video in the warehouse, shooting a video. So I got my studio in there, like it's a big warehouse full of bunch of studios. So it's a bunch of artists, and I'm like, damn, Gucci Man shooting a video out here. So first thing, Gucci Man outside, I talk to the bodyguard, man, I let Gucci. He had a bodyguard with him. So Gucci Man come over there, like, what's up, man? What's up? I like, Gucci, can I get a picture? He's like, nope, and walked away. And walked away. So what that, by going that, evidently he didn't want to take no damn pictures, but what it showed me is like, you got a damn studio in there. Why didn't you ask this man to come by the studio and hear some of your tracks?
Most definitely.
You taking a picture, you asked for a picture, hey, and the man is gone.
Yeah,
so
your approach was wrong.
Yeah, so your approach, a lot of times you got to move with a better approach. You got to speak, and that goes like, you like close mouth or fed, you got to speak up. You know what I mean? And say what you really want, you know what I mean? And then people will patronize you and take you more serious. So there's a lot of lessons, going through the path that you gotta, do, you know what I mean? But I went through a lot of stuff. I had to adapt. Coming from Gary was a different thing. Like I was a different.
Where's Motown?
Motown is in Detroit.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
What is it? What is Gary in there? What am I thinking about?
Gary famous Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson.
Yeah. Gary famous
that's what I'm thinking
like
about. Yeah, that's something. I love Michael.
Michael, yeah, I seen him too one time. He came through.
Word?
I'm gonna tell you a story, but
please.
Wait, I'm gonna say.
I'm smiling. It is.
I'm gonna tell you the story. It's funny as hell, but let me go back real quick about the mental and things. I keep it on.
Absolutely.
But Gary was a crazy city. I moved from Gary because I felt that I was either gonna be dead. You know what I mean? By staying there. I moved to Atlanta to work on my music, but to get out of that environment. The environment was bad. You know, environment in Gary, you got to carry guns everywhere you go. You know what I mean? You got to watch who you dealing with, you know what I mean? You could pull up to the light and a person could look at you and you get shot right there just by mean mug. You know, that's the word mean mug means a different, you know, to people like, what was mean mug mean? Mean was like, you look at me, I mean mug, we fighting, we about to shoot it out right at this light. And Gary was small, so if you get into it with somebody in the city, you gonna see him at the gas station because we only got one damn grocery store. We all gotta go eat this. We all gotta shop. We gotta get gas. Yeah, so we all just, that's why it was so bad because we just living, you know. But so I did a lot of shit that, you know what I mean, I don't want to talk about. Yeah, that's real. But when I came to Atlanta, I had to adapt because I was like, damn, these niggas are saying, what's up, hi. I'm like, what the fuck is that?
That down south.
Yeah, it was just a different vibe, so I had to adapt to it. You know, I wasn't used to that at first. I'm like, this nigga spoke to me. Yeah. You know, so
that southern love is different.
Yeah, that's southern love. So I adapt to it. I learned, man, these people are down here networking. They thinking about money. They ain't fucking with no. They ain't here worrying about me mugging and shit like that. You know, they out here. And then there's too many bitches here. So I was like, man, there's so many women here. Why are we fighting? You know, in Gary, my city, we fighting over a chick.
That's real.
You know what I mean? There's so many women here. If you meet a chick in the grocery store, you better, if you want her, you better get her number right near there because you might not see her again.
Because somebody definitely gonna get it back at the cash register.
Yeah. So I learned to adapt, you know, and that's what you got. You got to adapt. But going back to that Michael Jackson story, let me tell you this real quick.
Please.
So, because a lot of people don't know this because there wasn't no social media back in that day. We ain't had a camera phone. So look, Michael Jackson comes to Gary, and we had a baseball field. So he comes to the baseball field. We all go there to see his ass. A motherfucker runs out on the field. They tackle his ass. Another person, they tackled his ass. So look, Michael Jackson said, all right.
How old was Michael then?
I don't know how old that nigga was. Probably 50. I don't know. But he was white, though. He was white.
Okay, so he's at that stage.
He's white. Okay. So look, Michael Jackson leaves the baseball field and goes to KFC. You know what I mean? Because the nigga loved chicken. Yeah. And I didn't know he loved chicken. So look, he gets to KFC and he's in a limo. This back in the days was a long limo and the damn rooftop. So this motherfucker he buys out the KFC. KFC closes down. He pops out the top of the limo with buckets of chicken, throwing it to the crowd. Throwing the chicken like breasts, wings, everything. And niggas catching it, eating it. Like nobody saw this shit because there was no social media. And this is the motherfucking king of mute pop at KFC throwing buckets of chicken everywhere to everyone. You know, why he did it, I don't know. That's a different story.
He giving back.
Yeah, he giving back to the community. He fed us with chicken.
No, that's real.
That's all we got a chicken. We accepted it.
Yeah, people don't know that.
We accepted that damn chicken and ate it. And then a nigga pulled off and we never heard from him again.
That's good. That's real.
Nah, but he has a house there, so I advise anybody that want to see Michael Jackson, how he grew up. It's a small house. It's probably smaller than this room. But go there, see that shit. It's a monument. You know what I mean? Michael Jackson is a big thing to us because, hey, that nigga made the biggest. Yeah, so that showed us, hey, it don't matter where you at. You could be anybody. It don't matter where you grow up at. You could grow up in the slums or in a city that never blew up. You could fucking... I won't be surprised if the next biggest rapper is from Oregon or something. I mean, I don't know. But it just shows you that you can do anything and where you at. But I had to move just like he moved to advance. He left Gary because he needed to get into a bigger world.
Absolutely.
I left Gary because I needed to get into a bigger world, you know, a bigger market where it could capitalize me better, where I could do more things. So when I moved out to Atlanta, I'm like, shoot, I could do this, I could do that. That's what made me get into like the restaurant business. I'm like, man, I could just get into the restaurant business. Absolutely. This is crazy. I could have never done, you know, I mean, I could have done this stuff in Gary, but just being in a bigger market, bigger money, that's what you got to think as a business person. You're going to go where the bigger money at. As always, you know what I mean? You got to just levitate. So now you can always come back and do something for your city, just like Michael Jackson came back, gave us chicken.
That's real, man. They gave y'all some chicken, man.
Yeah.
At least y'all ate.
Hey, the good chicken too. It wasn't churches, it was KFC.
I know. I'm from Bama. We love churches now.
Oh, now churches.
Hey, man, just like that. We back in the game, just like that, man. My boy Fingerroll, we back in the mix.
Yes.
So, man, we gonna dive down. We'll take it back first. We'll hit family, and then we'll go. No, we'll stay on stories, man. We'll stay on stories, and then we'll catapult the family, and then we'll end it out with some life stories, and we'll finish there.
Okay, cool.
So, yeah, man, what's some crazy stories you have had, dealing in this business of producing, seeing these different artists in their limelight, the drugs, the women, stuff, alcohol gets involved. So, what's some of the craziest things you've seen?
Hey, look.
You don't have to put no names on it.
Yeah, nothing I put no names, but the name of my studio is called No Taming. Mm-hmm. So that right there it was the name of the project was Ain't No Taming. So it was no taming what goes on. So a lot of the stuff people, I'll mention it like this. A lot of things that we did in the studio, I didn't see it all. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. As far as in the studio, it's going to be drugs, it's going to be alcohol, it's going to be wild stuff, it's going to be girls. You know what I mean? Like a lot of times in the studio, we have these people around just to get our energy, our mood, the vibe right. Mm-hmm. Girls would come to the studio just to be around the rappers and come to like, oh, you're a producer, let me hang around you. And we'll be drinking, they'll get drunk. Shit, they'll get fucked. You know what I mean? Hey, it happens. Drugs. I was nothing to see people like snort cocaine, right? Yeah. One time I went to California, got flown out there, and I'm in the Hollywood Hills, and they're charged up. It was like, I ain't gonna say the label, but it was some A&Rs from a major label in California, and they're charged up doing coke, and I'm sitting on the couch like, what the fuck is going on? I just got here, like I just pulled up, and they're like, Fingerroll, man, get over there, dude, and get in that shit.
No, bro.
And I'm like, what? No. I'm like, so I'm fucking tired from flying all the way from Indiana, and I pass out, so I wake up on the couch. These motherfuckers still up. It's girls now. It's girls. Then I see one girl running out naked. I done seen a lot of shit. You know what I mean? They're like, Fingerroll, you up, buddy, man? It's your turn. I'm like, man, but it's crazy shit. And I done seen so much crazy shit as far as parties, sex, you know what I mean? So that stuff happens, you know what I mean? And even to touch on like the Diddy stuff.
Yeah, what's crazy? I said Diddy under my voice.
Hey, look, and the way I see it like this, that stuff happens. I'm not surprised. Like I'm not like, people are something like, oh wow, what the fuck was going on? Freak offs, man. Those things happen all the time. You know what I mean? It's just if you want to be involved in it, you can, or you're not. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So. I don't support the if somebody's underage and when you're breaking the law, but freak offs, they happen all the time. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just, hey, if that's what you into, it might not be, for you, but some people are into that shit. I done been in a lot of, when we used to travel as a group to different cities, shit, who girl we taking home? All the girls that want to come after the show, I'm gonna be at a hotel, so it would happen like that. We would announce that stuff, and then we come back to the hotel. If you want to do something, you there. If you don't, you leave. You know what I mean? So that's how it was, and we saw that shit. So I saw a lot of shit. Different people how they partake like Diddy. If this is what you into that. I may when back then I'm on, and to this day, I'm only into women, so I'm fucking women all day, but, everybody had their shares of threesomes and stuff and, whatever you into, but that's that's what you do behind closed doors, hey, that's what you do, you know what I mean? And a lot of that stuff is in the industry, so don't be surprised if you hear, oh, this person because many of these artists out right now could tell you many wild stories, probably wilder than what I'm telling you, know what I mean? That happens. It's just part of it, you know what I mean? Everybody goes through certain stuff, you know what I mean, and does crazy things. And the music just puts that in there because it's the entertainment. We're in clubs, it's alcohol, it's drugs. We're around people that are getting high and different elements. They're a different person from where they was during the day when you see them at 1 o'clock. At nighttime at 12 or at 1 in the morning, they're a whole nother level. Different emotions are just flowing out. You know what I mean? So we all human at the end of the day. That's what's in us. So yeah, but that's how it is.
That's real.
The wild side is out there, trust me.
Speaking on names, we didn't drop names earlier, but what are some of big names, you know, we dropped a couple like Future.
Yeah.
What are some of the big names that you ran into or have had inside the studio? If you just had to mention some of the biggest that you think have you felt put you on?
Yeah, well, I have to look at like going back in the day when I started from Indiana, we didn't have a lot of stuff, so we moved into like I would
Before you get into it,
go.
I'm gonna re-say that. I was studying.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah.
Right. I'm waiting on Barry to get this light right too, because he don't drop it.
I've seen it. Is it balling?
It looked like it's not that one leg.
You got one leg up, bro.
Oh no, I didn't know it was what's in it, bro. I was scared as shit. I was looking at shit about trying to turn.
When you move this, that's what. Because it's attached to the top. You put it
Now, as far as that question with the biggest names, I think it'd be good if I kind of explain the biggest people that I seen just transitioning, because that's a more impact. Because you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So if you maybe rephrase the question like that, and I can tell you who all I've seen, that'd be dope.
Gotcha.
Y'all good?
You ready? Oh yeah. All right.
Just a minute.
1, 2, 3. All right, sure. Most definitely. What are some of the names that you can drop for us that you have seen grow and prosper? You know, starting from the top that you have worked with. You know, some people that you've seen transpire in this game of music, bro.
Yeah. So I mean, I didn't, like I said, I go back to like starting off with like the 808 Mafia, and they came here. I seen them. I seen a producer, TMC. I seen a producer, Young Tego, pop off. You know, there's a lot of different TNT. Let me rephrase that, TNT. But he at first came in here and he produced a lot of stuff for Rod Wave. I mean, just
my boy.
A lot of people. So just look up TNT. But he came here. You know, I seen him before he even kind of got there. So I just ran into just being here in Atlanta. Like, I was at the club when I first got here, and let's bring his name up. And the person told me to move over a little bit. And I'm like, why this man tell me to move over? I'm at the bar drinking. He told me to move over. I'm like, I don't want to move over here. I'm still in my Gary Indiana mode. And then he pushed me like, well, he didn't push me. He just said, can you do it? Yeah, look. And I was like, okay, cool. You know, I'm cool. I'm cool. I gotta adapt to this life. And then next thing I look over, motherfucking Diddy next to me.
No way.
And I'm like, what the? So yeah, and I see like the bodyguards with the thing, and Diddy over there messing with some girls. So that was just weird, just seeing those celebrities. You know, I run into those type of people. You know, in Atlanta, like I start seeing them on a daily. Like I would, being in the club and I'm sitting up there seeing Vivica Fox, and at the time I'm like, whoa, I used to want to smash, but I didn't see that, and it showed me like, man, you could just see everybody. So I was seeing so many people. I just saw so many people, you know, even recording people. Like I recorded Lloyd, Bobby Valentino, and these people that I used to listen to, and I'm actually recording them. So I mean, in the music industry, you're gonna keep, you know, just going and gravitate. So at the end, it's not gonna look like you're starstruck or nothing. You know what I mean? Because you're meeting them now. Then now it's time to, okay, man, can we collab? You know, what can we do? Like I remember one time I seen Dallas Austin, big producer, and I was like, man, let me holler at you. Let me, tell you, they give you the number and you could probably follow up and try to connect. But just running into people, it's crazy.
It ain't likely for me. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, so I learned. I run into people, and if you got good networking and skills and humble, then hey, make a connect, you know. But it's so many. I could just name names, you know, just all types of working in this business that I met, you know. But it's a blessing at the end of the day. You got to look at it like it's definitely a blessing, you know, to be where you at and to have this around you, especially if you love music. You know what I mean? God keeps putting that around you. Hey, that's a blessing. You know what I mean? You might not be where you at or where you want to be, but I look at it like, man, I'm just blessed to still do what I do at this age, and I'm loving it. Like, if I could just do this all, and I'm loving what I'm doing, then, you know, hey, absolutely. I'm not up here, you know, worried about, hey, or I don't got to really work for this guy and do this. I'm like doing what I love, what I've been loving to do since I was, 16. So I'm like, this is great. You know, it was a passion when I was young, and I'm doing it now, and I'm loving it. I ain't complaining. You know, so I'm like, hey, it's life.
Good, you hear me?
Yeah.
That's real,
definitely.
Man. So you talking about where you going with this?
Yeah.
Who you doing it for? Let's talk about in the grand scheme where you see yourself in the next 5 years. What do you plan to do with this? Who do you plan to leave it to?
Right.
To your son, like.
Yeah. So why I do, where I'm looking, I just like to keep growing. I like to keep, involving, anything. When you leave this world, you leave with nothing. Absolutely. But if you leave something behind, a legacy or something where your name keeps going on, then that's a great feeling, And I just challenge myself every day. Like every day I may, just how I got into the restaurant business, I may go into another side. Like I've been doing stocks, what I mean?
Yeah, it's about that time.
And I've been teaching people how to start stocks, invest, make their money grow for them, where they're making money while they sleep. So I kind of tapped into that world and being almost like a, not like a financial advisor, I wouldn't say I'm that, but like a little coach, mentor on, hey, this is what you need to go. This is where, if they would have taught me this when I was 16, then I'd be probably a billionaire right now if I would have learned that game, but they didn't teach us that. So, that's the stuff right now I want to teach my son, and I'm teaching him, hey, this is what you got to do to better yourself, because I done went through it. I already know where the road's going to go. And life is going to change, technology changes, so it's a different world by the time, that you're in, that I started in, but I just like to evolve in it, you know what I mean? So whatever comes out or whatever is new, like, of course, like trends. People hop on trends. Sometimes you got to ride the trend. You don't got to stay on it, but ride the trend and then be a trendsetter, make a trend. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And that's where I try to look like what is missing that is not here, and then go for it. You know what I mean? So that's what you got to look at. God created this earth and everything. He gave us stuff that we could reproduce stuff.
Absolutely.
So that's the guy. I can't create an earth, a world, but I can reproduce what he gave us here on this world. You know what I mean?
Indeed.
So that's how I look at it. It's stuff that you can make or produce, whatever it's a show, whatever it's a song, or whatever it's idea. Go for it. You can do it, man. Anybody could do it.
Tell me.
Yeah.
So, my next question is, we talked about your son. What type of family household did you grow up in?
Okay.
Mom, dad, single parent household?
Yeah, so I'm going to tell you a story. So my mom and them, they came from the west side of Gary. They had a house.
The west side?
Yeah, the west side. Oh, God, west side. So, but then they moved to like the Miller area of Gary. Now, the Miller area is the greater side of Gary. We got the beach, you know what I mean? So when I grew up on that side, you know what I mean? I grew up where I could walk down to the beach.
That's
you know what I mean? So I grew up on the lighter side of the nice area, you know what I mean? And but at the end of the day, and then my father, he was a business person. He was he had his pharmacy. He had so that's where I kind of got my business side of being business. You got to do this, because he was that type of person. So I learned I got to be a hustler. So when I was growing up, I was doing everything like, hey, I'll cut your grass, or I'll fucking walk your dog, or we had every Saturday we had to cut grass. You know what I mean? So I'll make money, or I was doing everything. I was a fucking paper boy. I was delivering papers. When I was like 14 or something.
Into the bad fight.
Yeah. But I learned that, hey, this is what you got to do to make money. I started cutting hair. I'm cutting everybody's hair in the hood. You know what I mean? But I was challenged to make money. You know what I mean? Because I seen that in my father. So I grew up, and my mother, she was the awesome mother. She was like the mother, hey, you sick? You don't got to go to school. You know what I mean? Stay home. I'm staying at home.
Wow.
She's that type of mother.
Let her mama go.
Yeah. We're going to school.
Yeah, so
we had to walk in the rain.
So it's different. So I see that type of side. But here we go. Now you gotta forget, I'm still in Gary, Indiana, man. Yeah. We still in a bad city. Like, I could go right where I'm at, up the street is a drugstore, and then people burnt the drugstore down, got shot. So it was, I could go other places in Gary and I see that. So I still growing up seeing all type of violence, all type of killing, all type of stuff. So that, I don't care. I grew up with a silver spoon. I'm still taking that side. And as a young person, you're interested in it. You're like, oh, well, shoot, let me go. Let's see what's this. So I had friends on this side and I had friends on the bad side. So I was a mixture of that.
Not even to really take a turn, but how come you didn't become a product of your environment, bro?
Right. So that was the thing. I had to make a decision. I had to make a decision. Like, I did evolve in that. Like, I did some stuff that right now I should probably be locked up. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but you know what I mean?
Life.
It's life. We all, and then when you're young, you do a lot of dumb shit.
I call it young, dumb, and stupid.
Yeah, so I was that person, and I kind of had that. I think I'm unstoppable. That's why I came over with ain't no taming. It wasn't no taming. So whatever I felt, I would do it. Ain't no, don't give a damn. So I was a product. But then I started, as you get a little older, you start to change. Like, man, this almost put me behind jail for a long time. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I had to move to get out of that environment. So that's why I moved to Atlanta, to get out of that environment. And I see when I came here, it's like they up here making money. They on some whole nother level. My dumb ass over here doing shit.
LOL.
You know what I mean? So I'm like, we're product of environment because we're fighting to survive out there. Like I said, you could go out there and say the wrong thing and be taken out. So we had to survive.
Yeah, man. How did you not become a product of your environment, so they say?
All right, so look, I'm gonna tell you a little story. Like I said, that shit was there. It's always there. So like me wanting to make money, you know, I'm like, cause I just like want to have stuff and make money. So I'm like, I knew my homie. He's like, man, my brother out here doing this and that. I'm like, for real, what are you doing to make money, man? He sell crack, cocaine. I'm like, shit. So I'm like, maybe I can make some money with that. He like, yeah, you can. And so I hit him up, meet him, and he was like, look, we just opened up a spot. Now we just getting it up. It ain't jumping yet. It used to be jumping, got shut down by the police. So in my mind, I'm not. That shit don't matter. I'm like, money is, okay, so what I got to do to make money? So he's like, look, you want to make some money? I'm going to put you, and you can bring your homeboy. Y'all go in there. I'm going to put you on there at nighttime. Y'all, anybody knock on the door, y'all give them this. So I like, bet. That's easy. Sound like an easy-ass job.
Money, yeah.
I was like, I hit my homie up. Now, my homie didn't know, never sold crack or do that. So he put us in the house. We in this damn house. He's like, there's a gun underneath, a big ass shotgun. Y'all need that.
Got to.
And there's the crack. So anybody knock on that door, you just go to them. They're going to give you the money. And then you give them the crack, and that's it. You have any problems, there's a shotgun in there. So we sitting in this damn house. Nobody's coming to the fucking door. And then we heard some other noises, and a motherfucker is living upstairs, comes down like, what y'all doing in here? I'm like, man, what's the name? He's like, what's the name? Said we good. He was like, okay. And he went back up there. So that was one weird thing. But we sitting in there, it's like 4 a.m, bored as hell, no damn TV, thinking we don't have fucking phones. So we sitting there just talking, got a bunch of crack, a fucking shotgun, and nobody's knocking at the door. So I'm sitting there like, man, I ain't making no damn money. So I called one of my homies. I had to walk out the damn street to a fucking payphone, call this nigga to come pick us up. I took the fucking crack because I like, let me not leave it. Yeah, I took the crack because I don't want to leave this shit because I don't want to get in trouble by the big boss and fucking take me out. So I hid the motherfucking gun, called his ass. I'm like, man, we was in there and nobody came to the door. We started from 12 to 4 a.m, so I left, and he's like, what you do with the crack? So I gave him the crack. Yeah. But I was like, that was fucking, that's the environment I was in. I could easily do that. But then I was like, for me, I'm like, I just didn't want to go down there. This ain't what I want. Yeah. I'm already in a dangerous spot. I got a shotgun. I got motherfucking dope. I can get arrested. It was like, I ain't about to go out like that. You
still had your head on your shoulder. So.
Exactly. So I was still smart. Yeah. I was young and dumb. That's why I did that. But
you just trying to make some money.
Yeah, trying to make some money. But then again, I had to let me do shit that I know I could do and make it easier for me without involving like risks like that. You know what I mean? So that's just, that goes back to the environment it could stray you like that. It could grab you into that, you know what I mean? So I was easily able to get into that if I wanted to be the dope boy.
And man, grateful that you did it, man, because we here.
Yeah,
we
there you
bigger
go.
than ever, man.
There you go, man.
We're definitely bigger than ever.
Yes.
So, man, we gotta tie it in. We gotta tie it in. So, speaking about life, man.
Yes.
Life's journey. What has been, as you feel, your most successful moment as of this moment right now?
Yes. Okay. So being successful, I would say my successful moment is being blessed to wake up and do the stuff that I love to do at the end of the day. That is my successful moment. I didn't have success of running this business, starting this business, and seeing that business grow. That's always been, that's always a level up and an appreciation, just for people patronizing what you do. But my blessing is just being able to do what I do and do what I do love. That's my greatest, at this far. If I can continue doing it and grow, because I'm growing. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's the beauty. That's the blessing. Because you're going to, a lot of times you look at that, a lot of people, the stars that I met, I look up to them, and then I was like, damn, they coming to me for stuff now. So life evolves. You know what I mean? It reverses. Everything has an expiration date. So, you just got to look at yourself like, hey, if you could keep doing and being blessed and still loving the thing you do. And then my biggest thing I would say is just helping and educating people, man. At the end of the day, if you can, I look at blessing somebody with something. If I could, bless this person with some knowledge or gain, like, hey, man, try this or that may work, and I see it work, man, that's the greatest accomplishment for me. Even the people I look at that I worked for and helped out and did things, and they maybe we didn't keep continuing our relationship or our follow up or whatever, we started together and they made, that's a blessing for me. Like, hey, look what I done seen you grow. I didn't, help
Ain't
you
no
out.
hating involved, man.
Yeah, I helped you out in your growth. You know what I mean? I might not be there with you, but hey, I'm gonna keep doing what I do because this is what I love to do and I'm easy can do it, So I just challenged myself, hey, what I'm gonna do next? I love that. To be able to wake up and say, man, let me try something. Let me try and see what this is. And then see people gravitate to it, man, that's a blessing right there to be able to do that. Because a lot of people, they kind of get capped at a certain way. And
we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, but hey, I love it, man.
So, you know what? Before we even go too crazy, let's talk about that. Has there been a time where you felt like you was capped out? Like you couldn't get no bigger than where you was, like you felt like you was at a standstill moment? Well,
I would say being in, I really didn't because I always push myself through it, but a lot of times you will get stuck and you may be stuck for a month, you may be stuck for a year and figuring like, what am I doing? I'm not getting capped out.
Stagnant.
So you either got to, a lot of times, reinvent yourself or you even have to maybe find another niche, if that works best for you, because a lot of times what you start at is not how you end,
That's strong.
So that's where you got to look at, but if you got the drive and you can sacrifice things, you're going to be great. You're going to keep going. Yeah, so that's how I look at it.
Hey, most definitely.
Yeah.
Hey, man, as we get ready to wrap this thing up, we always end the podcast with some words of encouragement, some words of wisdom. So if you had to give, some words of encouragement to anybody in your position or somebody wanting to become a producer or somebody from Gary, Indiana, somebody willing to take that leap of faith towards their dreams, what would you say to them?
I would tell them to, number one, be original. Number one, do not quit what you're doing. You may have your setbacks, but keep going. But the key is to be original. To find, what works for you. Master what you're good at. I always tell people like, hey, if you're not too good at doing rap and harmonizing, then don't do it. You know what I mean? If you're better at just a straight rapper, or if then do that level. But stick to what you're good at and perfect that. Don't try to dap off because this person doing this person do that, because we got that person. We need what you're good at.
Absolutely.
And so that's what I tell them. Keep doing and focus and lock in on what you're good at. Find, if you write down 5 skills that you can do, pick the best one of those skills that you do best. And then run with that one. Yeah.
Hey, man, you heard it from Fingerroll Best, man. That is another FBP podcast, man. We signing out as always. I love you. FBP out.
Yeah, boy. That was good, boy.